Hey, before we go any further, if you are new here, welcome to Healthy Fi Hub. Hit that subscribe button right now, because every single week we share simple, practical tips that can genuinely change how you feel every single day. Subscribe first, then let's get into this, because what I am about to share with you tonight could completely change the way your legs feel by tomorrow morning. Okay, so let me ask you something. Do your legs feel completely fine in the morning, but by the time evening comes around, your ankles look puffy, your feet feel tight? Want your shoes feel like they belong to someone a whole size smaller than you? And when you take your socks off at night, you see those deep, ugly sock marks pressed into your skin that take forever to go away. If that sounds exactly like what you are dealing with, then I need you to stay right here. Do not click away. Do not scroll. Because in the next few minutes, I am going to explain exactly what is happening inside your legs every single evening. And more importantly, I am going to give you a complete, step-by-step routine you can do tonight, sitting right there in your chair, that will start making a real difference. And I mean a real, noticeable, press your thumb into your ankle and see the difference kind of change. Not in weeks, not after expensive treatments, starting tonight. Now here's the thing that most people get completely wrong about swollen legs and ankles. They think it is just something that happens with age. They think it is just their body doing what old bodies do, and they just have to live with it. They try drinking less water because they think less water means less swelling. They try putting their feet up for a little while, and maybe buy some compression socks and put them on at night. And then they wonder why nothing is really working the way they hoped. I want to tell you right now, none of those things are actually fixing the real problem. And the real problem is something that almost nobody talks about, not in a way that actually makes sense. So let me break this down for you in a way that is going to make everything click. Your heart is an incredible organ. It pumps blood down to your legs all day long without you even thinking about it. But here's the part nobody really explains. Getting that blood back up from your feet and legs all the way back to your heart, that is a completely different challenge. Your heart actually cannot do it alone. Think about it. Your blood has to travel all the way from your feet, fighting against gravity all the way back up through your body to reach your heart again. That is a long journey. Your heart is not strong enough to pull that off by itself. It needs a helper. It needs a pump. That pump lives right inside your calf muscles. Every single time you walk, every time you move your foot, every time you shift your weight or take a step, the muscles in your calves squeeze together. And when they squeeze, they press against the veins running through your lower legs. And that squeezing pushes the blood inside those veins upward, back toward your heart. Doctors actually have a name for this. They call it the calf muscle pump. Some medical professionals even call it your second heart. That is not a metaphor. That is how important those calf muscles are to keeping fluid moving in your body. Now here is where the problem starts. And if you are honest with yourself, you will probably recognize this pattern immediately. Think about your average day. Maybe you wake up, you have your coffee, and then you sit down. Maybe at a desk, maybe on the couch, maybe in the car for a long commute, and then you sit some more. And maybe you get up here and there, but most of your day, if we are being honest, involves a lot of sitting. And when you are sitting, those calf muscles are doing almost nothing. They are just hanging there. They are not squeezing. They're not pumping. The second heart has basically gone quiet. And when the calf pump slows down, fluid starts to collect. Gravity's doing its job all day long, pulling fluid downward into your lower legs, your ankles, your feet. But without that calf pump working to push it back up, the fluid just stays there. It builds up over hours. And by evening, that is the swelling you feel. That is the heaviness. That is the tightness. That is why your shoes feel smaller by dinner time than they did at breakfast. That is the whole story. And now that you understand it, you are going to understand exactly why the exercises I am about to show you work so well. They are not random movements. Every single one of them is specifically designed to turn that calf pump back on, to wake it up, to get it squeezing and pushing that fluid back where it belongs. Before we get into the exercises, though, I want to say something important. Please do not skip over this part. If your swelling is only happening on one side of your body, just one leg, not both, or if the swelling appeared suddenly out of nowhere, or if you have pain, redness, warmth, or any kind of shortness of breath along with the swelling, please stop and call your doctor before trying any of these exercises. Those can be signs of something more serious, like a blood clot, and that needs medical attention right away. What we are talking about today is the kind of swelling that happens on both legs, gradually over the course of the day. That has been going on for a while, that feels worse in the evening and better after a night of lying down. That kind of swelling is almost always the calf pump problem. And that is exactly what we are going to fix together. All right, let's actually do this. And I want you to do these exercises along with me right now, or at least tonight before bed. Get yourself a sturdy chair, not a soft couch, a proper chair where your feet can rest flat on the floor. Sit up reasonably straight. Do not have to be perfectly rigid, but do not be slouched all the way back either. Good, we are ready. The first exercise is something I call the unlock. And I call it that because that is exactly what it does. After a full day of sitting, your ankles and lower legs feel locked up, stiff, barely moving. This exercise breaks all of that loose and gets everything activated at once. Here's what you do. Lift your right foot just slightly off the floor. You only need to lift it an inch or two. It does not need to be high at all. Now, with your toes, I want you to draw a big, slow, smooth circle in the air. Start going clockwise. Make the circle as large as you comfortably can. Slow is the key word here. Nice and slow. Feel your entire lower leg light up as you move through the circle. Feel your calf engaging. Feel the muscles along your shin working. Feel those small muscles around your ankle moving. All of them are working together, not just one muscle, but many muscles firing in a rolling sequence as you move through each part of the circle. Now, do 10 slow circles going clockwise. Count them out loud if it helps. 1, 2, 3, all the way to 10. Then reverse direction. 10 circles going counterclockwise. Same size, same slowness, same focus on really feeling the movement. Then set that foot down and switch to your left foot. 10 circles clockwise, 10 counterclockwise. Same thing. Now let me tell you why this is so powerful. Because it is not just a warm-up movement. When you draw a circle with your foot, your calf muscle does not just contract once and release. It contracts in a rolling sequence with different muscle fibers engaging at different points throughout the circle. It is almost like wringing out a wet towel. You are squeezing the veins in your lower leg from multiple angles, one after another, pushing fluid upward more completely than any simple up and down movement ever could. The rolling nature of the circle is what makes it special, and the biggest mistake people make with this exercise is going too fast. When you spin your foot quickly, you are using momentum, not muscle. The momentum is doing the work, not your calf. You need to slow it down enough that your muscles are actually working through every single degree of that circle. If you rush, you lose most of the benefit. Slow it right down. Feel every inch of that circle. That is where the magic is. Now let's move on to the second exercise. This one goes even deeper, and I mean that literally. Stay seated exactly where you are. Feet flat on the floor, about hip width apart. Here is what you are going to do. Press the balls of your feet into the floor and lift your heels up as high as you comfortably can. Hold that position for 2 full seconds. Feel your calves tighten up. Feel that contraction. Good. Now lower your heels back to the floor. And now I want you to do the opposite. Keep your heels on the floor and lift your toes up toward the ceiling as high as you can. Hold for 2 seconds. Feel the muscles along the front of your shin engage. Then lower your toes back down. And repeat. Heels up, hold lower. Toes up, hold lower. Heels up. Back and forth. I want you to do 15 of these, slow and controlled. And if you are doing them right, you should start feeling a gentle burn in your calves somewhere around repetition 10. That burn is a good sign. That means the deep pump is working. Now here is what makes this exercise different from the circles you just did. The circles activate your calf muscles in that rolling, wave-like ringing pattern. This exercise works more like a piston. It is a strong, direct, maximal compression, straight up and straight down. And it targets not just the calf muscle you can see on the outside of your leg, but also a much deeper muscle that most people have never even heard of. It is called the soleus. The soleus sits underneath your main calf muscle, deeper in the leg. And here is why it matters so much specifically for people who spend a lot of time sitting. The soleus is actually the primary pumping muscle when you are seated or when you are doing slow, low-range movements. It stays active even when the outer calf muscle is barely doing anything. When you raise your heels up in that seated position, you are squeezing both the outer calf and the soleus together at the same time with maximum force. That deep squeeze is what dislodges the most stubborn fluid that has been sitting in your lower legs all day. This is the exercise that really gets into the problem. Now for the third and final main exercise. This one ties everything together in a way that covers more of your leg than the first two exercises do on their own. I call this one the full drain. And when you understand what it actually does, you will see why it is the perfect one to end the routine with. Stay seated. Sit up a little taller if you can. Feet flat on the floor. Now lift your right knee up toward your chest. You only need to lift it a few inches off the chair. This is not a high knee march. It is a slow, gentle, seated march. Hold your knee up for 1 second. Then slowly lower your foot back down to the floor. Now do the same with your left knee. Lift. Hold for 1 second. Lower. Right, left, right, left. You are marching in very slow motion right there in your chair. 10 marches on each side to start. If that feels too easy after a few days, work your way up to 15.